Hi everybody, welcome to Flaming Rooster Barbecue. Today we're going to do something a little bit interesting that you may or may have not even heard of, but it is beef cheeks. So there's a restaurant here in Austin, a trailer called Leroy and Lewis that inspired these. They have just amazing beef cheeks. First time I had them, I was blown away. It's like it tastes like the most tender, richest piece of brisket you've ever had to perfection. And you want to do it low and slow and smoke it. You can do it a lot of other ways, but today we're going to do it with smoke it with some oak wood. But first off, what is a beef cheek? A beef cheek is just like it sounds. It's the cheek of a cow. So those cows chew and chew and chew and create a really nice muscle around their jaw, and that's what this is. So you can buy whole beef cheek at a butcher. It'll come home. It looks like kind of like skirt steak. It'll be long. You're going to be trimming and trimming and trimming. That's fine. To me, it's too much trimming. I like to get these. I can get these at the local grocery store. It's just a pack like this. This is 2.5 pounds. This is about 2 ounces. I'm about to do about 4.5 pounds. But it comes out, and I trimmed these guys. And so there's 3 pieces left out of this, and then that's the fat. So there's not a whole lot of fat. What you're buying is really what you're smoking. So again, this is 2.6 pounds of meat. I'll probably get 2.25 pounds of meat out of that. But the process is fairly simple. You're gonna wanna smoke it 225 to 275, depending on how much time you have. Today I've got a lot of time. I've got about 7 hours until these need to be done, actually a little longer than that. So I'm gonna do them at 225. If I get to a point where I need to crank it up to 250 or 275, I'll do it, but I should be okay at 225. But if you only have about 5 hours, you could do these at 275 and they'll turn out perfect. You want to get the internal temperature of that meat to 205, and so just similar to a brisket, you want to get it up there. There's a lot of fat in here, and you want to render that fat and really get it melted and get the flavor. I'm going to do a pretty simple rub. It's salt, pepper, and garlic powder, about 1/3 of each. So I just made this today, this morning. I put it in a shaker and get it ready to roll. And then you can use whatever adhesive you want. I prefer a spicy mustard. This is like an aioli spicy mustard from Trader Joe's for the rub. And it's just like anything else. You want to get this on here and get that, just a little layer, nothing crazy, to get that rub to stick a little bit. But also that spicy mustard, it'll create, regular mustard you can't taste at all. This spicy mustard gives a little bit of bite, a little bit of kick, but not a whole lot. So you want to do a generous rub on it. These things are going to create a great bark. I mean, since the pieces are small, you generate a lot of bark, even more so than, let's say, a brisket. It's almost like the point of a brisket's the bark you're going to get on these things. But just be generous with that. And right now, the egg is heating up. I'm going to use oak wood today. You can get creative. A lot of people like pecan. A lot of people like cherry with this. I'm an oak brisket guy, and I kind of stick with that, and that's what I like to do my meats with. And this is a similar flavor profile. So I'm going to get all these rubbed up. I'm going to get that grill to about 225, indirect heat, oak, and we'll get them smoking. All right, so I've got that egg dialed in around 225 using indirect heat, so feet up on the place setter. And as you can see here, we've got these beautiful beef cheeks ready to go on. These things are rubbed and ready to go. As always, the back of this ceramic cooker is going to be a little bit hotter, so I'm going to put my bigger pieces towards the back. Should be this guy's pretty thick there. This guy, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these smaller pieces. There's really two thicker pieces. Put those towards the back. And then we got these little guys. Obviously, you're trying to get the temperature to 205. So for these big guys back here, it's going to take a lot longer. So these little ones, what I'm going to do is I'm going to almost just kind of roll them up. I'm going to put him at the very front, and then you know, just kind of roll them up to where it's going to take a little bit longer for them to cook. And I'm probably going to get to a point, might have to take these off a little bit earlier. But that's it. So I'm going to close this lid. Well, I'm going to put a meat probe in, but I'm going to close this lid. I'm going to wait for these guys to get to about 205. And again, I've got the grill at 225 right now. If you only have about 5 hours, you know, crank it up to 275. It's not going to hurt it. Slow and low on these guys is the key. So 225 to 275. Play around with the kind of wood too. Some people think oak is a little bit too smoky because it's a really rich meat, but I prefer it. Some people, you know, maple wood, cherry wood, you know, anything other than, I would say, mesquite or cedar, is safe with these guys. And what are you to do with these is a good question. I personally just love the flavor of these things. So you know, that portion right there, that's probably a quarter pound. I could eat that no problem, you know, with a couple sides. And that's what I like to do. Some people like to chop it up and make brisket sandwiches. I personally think the meat's too good to do that, but this is a unique thing. If you take this over to a party and bring it as an appetizer, as a taster with some toothpicks, and you cut this up, people are going to be blown away. They're not even going to know what it is, and they'll be cooking it. But back to the cook, 225, and we'll get it off when it's 205. All right, so these have been on about 6.5 hours. And as you can see, these things are getting toasty and good. This little guy, as expected here, is ready to go. So this one's at 204 already, as well as this one and this one. So I'm gonna pull those off and let them rest. And these things are still about 175, so they got about 25 degrees left. So I'm gonna keep them smoking, but I'm gonna take the smaller ones off, wrap them in foil, and let them start resting while the other ones finish up. All right, so I let those rest. I prefer to let things rest longer, so at least 30 minutes, but at least 15 minutes. If you need to keep them hot, just wrap them in foil, and they'll keep hot for a couple hours. But, you know, as I said, I like to eat these plain with a little barbecue sauce or just as they are. So I make these thin cuts, and you see the bark on that. And I mean, it has a brisket texture, but those are beef cheeks, and that's how it should look right there. So this is great. I'll slice these thin like this and serve these as a meal, or again, you can chop them up, make a chopped beef cheek sandwich out of them, or however you want to do it. I love it like this with the side of pickles and onions. Get a side of slaw, and it's great. Bon appetit.